AI applications are likely to become very mainstream. In fact, there will be no non-AI applications. All applications will try to use some form of AI, or will try to be a more intelligent version of themselves, quite likely. And this is going to become much more, call it, commonplace now. I think every company needs to have an AI strategy. Every software company needs to have an AI strategy. And it's actually an evolution of the same thing we've been seeing for the past 10, 15 years, where we've been saying, hey, data is the new oil. Leveraging data, you can make better decisions. Now we are saying leveraging data, you can have autonomous decisions and intelligent decisions made by software even faster and even better than before.
How sophisticated is the Indian AI startup ecosystem? Is it comparable to what you see in other countries in Southeast Asia? How does it compare with the AI ecosystem in Silicon Valley?
It's a tough question to answer, Sukumar. First, I do think it's early. The funny thing with AI is, our team members who focus on it, they'll constantly tell us things like, that investment that so-and-so made for $50 or $100 million. Well, the last 6 weeks, there have been some new releases and that thesis no longer holds. Okay, so the point I'm trying to make is the AI landscape is evolving super fast. So I think, if you were to compare the consumer internet era, that took 20 years for it to sort of play itself out. Similarly, if you were to look at cloud computing era, that has taken a couple of decades. So I think we are very early. We will see AI play itself out over the next probably 2 decades. So I think we are super early. I think the India ecosystem, there's lots of interesting starts. And I think some of those companies will have to learn, evolve, grow quickly. I mean, this is a very fast changing landscape, probably the fastest changing landscape of any new area we have encountered in our 18 years. So this is not a static landscape where you can say, hey, the winners are picked, or like the way AI will evolve is already certain. I think it's changing quite fast. Human psychology trumps logic, right? For breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And so the reason bubbles form and the reason bubbles go bust is because of human psychology. And, and because psychology trumps logic. Otherwise, according to logic, everybody should be rushing in to buy today's big India tech companies because, they have improved revenues. Many are profitable, valuations are lower. And yet what you found is at the top of the market, everybody was buying, and in the bear market, nobody's buying, right? So, I mean, people, ironically, logic should suggest that we have far greater investment activity this year than in 2021, but psychology trumps logic, and therefore people flood in together, people leave together. So I hope these exits are measured, and I hope we have a stable long-term ecosystem.
Just as a digression, because when companies exit by through the IPO route, going public, one of the things that you really look at is the governance structures that they have.
Yes.
How would you rate today's startups? Are they as they scale up, are they doing enough on the governance aspect?
So, the first thing I would say, Sukumar, is that the Indian regulators are very, very high quality. When it comes to Reserve Bank or SEBI or other regulators, these are world-class regulators. And I think what they have surprised me on over the last 18 years is they don't even let bubbles form, or they don't even let mistakes happen many a times. They're very proactive, preemptive almost, in being able to watch out for markets to sort of misbehave, or for actors to misbehave. So overall, I feel our first things that's very important is our regulatory framework is a very healthy long-term framework. Because in some markets it's very easy to take companies public. In India, it's not been that easy to take companies public. But on the flip side of that is a company needs to have more substance. You can't, when you file for an IPO, you have to demonstrate how you're going to use proceeds. So there's a greater burden of proof. There's a greater burden of quality when companies go public in India than in some other markets. And I think that makes for a healthy ecosystem in the post-IPO market, right? So the first thing is that. The second is, look, all these tech companies, when they're in high growth phase, the truth is they're extraordinarily chaotic. And if you try telling a young founder, hey, please focus on governance, when they're working 24/7 to try to grow the company, or they're in what sometimes people call land grab mode, they're going to laugh at you, saying like, we'll do this when we have time to do this, right? So like early companies are very chaotic. And I think that's the graduation exercise. And we always tell founders the following. We tell them, look, you're likely an extraordinary innovator as a founder, but are you a good CEO? And it's your journey of from being a good innovator to being a good CEO. That's your learning journey. And eventually as the CEO of a public company, or you should bring in a CEO to run your public company and you should act like a shareholder. So I think that's the journey that founders are on. And very honestly, different founders have different ability to go from being a good founder to being a good CEO. And the founders who evolve to being great CEOs and great leaders, they understand that in order to keep my company very safe, protected, for me to build it for decades, I need to have extraordinary governance. And this needs to be an area of strength and not an area of weakness for me. So I'd say it's very company specific and founder specific. But actually one thing that has happened is I do think when founders start to get to the point where they start thinking about life as a public company, they look around them and they say, wait, the companies with great governance actually get a premium. So this is not just stuff that I have to do for hygiene alone or for, it's not that, oh, this is the annoying part of my work that I enjoy less doing, I should have somebody else do it. They start to understand, wait, this will allow me to actually succeed for decades. And I might even get a premium for great governance. So we do see a lot of openness from founders now to have independent board members join in, to have committees made on time, to have audits done both internal and statutory, to have audit committees created for the auditors to present to board members. Good habits start to come in when founders start to appreciate